Hey guys, we're back here with this monitor that I've made. Now it's still fairly high poly. I have not cleaned it up very well. As you can see, there's a lot of really stupid edges in here. So before you start unwrapping, I really do recommend you clean up a lot of this stuff. It will be easier for you to unwrap once all this shit's actually clean. Like, yeah, look at this craziness. I don't need any of this. You know, I probably added that to help with the open subdiv and maybe some of my smoothing there, but now I really do not require it, so I'm going to go through here and quad up this guy as best as I can. Right, even sometimes triangulate. There's nothing wrong with triangles, especially if they're going to help you, do your job. Maybe I do like this better. Nice clean quad there. I don't even need these guys out here. There we go. These guys, although they do kind of form the shape there a little bit. Yeah, those guys are probably somewhat mandatory. But over here, if we take a look, I have these edges that are doing completely nothing. So please go through and really clean up your mesh there. If you're having trouble, if you can't loop something, you could always select the face. Again, hit Control and Edge, and it'll select your edges for you. Deselect any critical edges that you need, and you can undo like that. Looks like I may be having some other issues in there. If you are dealing with a multi-element object, you can always use the Hide Unselected, Hide Selected feature in 3D Max to help you focus up on some stuff. There we go. Clean that up. So I would do this for my mesh first before unwrapping. It's not something that is very fun, but having very nice quads, very clean lines is quite crucial in today's society, and it's very frowned upon for you to have a shitty mesh. So again, make sure you do that. Clean up your stuff, right? We got all this stuff on the outside here too, looking really fugly, right? I'm going to do that for here as well. There we go. That was much easier than the stupid way I did before. Alright, how's that looking? That's looking pretty good. I got this inside guy here I don't need. Again, really clean up your low polys. If you don't need any edges, get rid of them. Because why have them there if they're not shaping your silhouette? These edges here are cutting these perfectly straight lines there. If I took this off and deselected that, you would not notice whether those edges were there or not. And since they are absolutely useless to changing my silhouette and my actual form, I'm going to remove them because they are pieces of crap and I don't want them in my life. There we go. Bam, quads. This I don't need as well. I may have had something in the back selected. No? Okay. Alright. Pick your quads where you can. There we go. Let's see. Do we have any other useless edges? This looks pretty good, I think. Alright, so aside from being a better low poly model this way and cleaner, just by looking at it, I can already tell this is going to be easier to unwrap too. The less edges you have, the better you'll be off for unwrapping, because it's just mayhem. It just gets really messy. So let's get in here. Let's start unwrapping this guy here. And again, sometimes you'll open it and your unwraps will look like this disaster. I don't even know how that happened. And like before, I'm going to just start it same way I start all of my unwrapping. Deselect everything, map, flat map, and nope. Sometimes if you add an unwrap modifier while your stuff is hidden, that stuff is still there and it's still going to get unwrapped because, well, it's part of your object, but since I've hidden my poly, you can't see in edit poly, the polys are gone, but the unwraps are still there, at least the seams. So I'm just going to do, go back here, go to unhide all, and then jump back into my unwrap modifier. Okay, so I'm going to click this little button here and get rid of my grid in the background because I hate it. So again, this thing's looking really complicated, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take these cylinders, cylinder number 1, cylinder number 2. Really, once I unwrap one of these guys, if I feel they're the same, oh, they're different. You can always go and copy them over again. You shouldn't be unwrapping the same object over and over if you don't have to. And then we have this guy. This guy's really complicated. But like everything else, I can kind of simplify it for myself right off the bat. So number 1, I'm going to take off my element select there. And take this screen. This is going to be, most likely like a digital screen or something like that. It's going to be separated out. It can just live on its own right now. Most likely will be out to the side there. And then maybe not. You know what? Let's undo that. Let's take a look at what we have here. We have this model right here, and Max has decided that only some of it should be stitched together. So if I decide I want to stitch this inside part here, I'm going to go through and select it all. Since they're all separate faces, I'm just going to hand select them right now. I'm going to deselect these guys, and I'm going to do my projection mapping again with my planer, but I'm going to do best align, and it's going to do a nice job of aligning it to this angle that it's at. Again, a perfect X or Z or Y would not work because this mesh is slightly on an angle. So best align is your best choice right there. Click the planar map again to detach and move over to the side there. All right, so we got this guy, and I could continue doing what I was doing before. So stitch select up there, make sure this is set to 0 for my bias. Select all of these inside pieces here first. Yeah, that'll be fine. And then these guys, again, I'm going to choose to do a 0 bias on them just because I know they're pretty clean. And I'm going to do this here. Now I know this guy is kind of stubby on this one part here, so I'm going to just select all of these verts, and I'm going to just squish it down a little bit. I'm doing this because I want to help. I don't want to, if I select just those edges there, and I try and do a 0.5 bias to kind of average them out, it's really only going to pull this one edge down, which is actually doing a pretty good job. You know what? I'm going to take that back. I am going to do this. And then for this one here, I don't want to break this line. I know this line is nice and straight on this mesh, so I'm going to do a 0 bias on there. And these guys here, I might just manually bring down a little because I know they should be fairly straight. And I'm going to just keep going. Just stitch selected, stitch selected. There we go. Nice and clean. Do a 0.5 bias on those. All right, and I might just do my edges here. So my edges here are, this inside part here is really, really different. So you know what? I might just leave that as it is, and I might just stitch all of this in here. And I'm just going to kind of force those guys down a little bit. Maybe even grab these and just smush them down a little. All right. So, let's see, that's down there. So now what I'm actually, you know what, I made a mistake. What I've done here is I was just stitching and welding. I was not even caring. So now I have this actually fairly neatly unwrapped section here. But now I have no seams over here, but then all this stuff here kind of just detached. And this is a pretty extreme angle, so I can try and wedge these guys in here and really squish them in. But that's probably not going to look really good. It's just a really steep angle. If I have any sort of texture on this whatsoever, it's going to look really stretched. If this was just clean metal, I could probably just mush those guys in here. But really, I don't, I like how most of this looks, but what I want to do is I actually want to select this here, deselect that guy, and all of the edges here. So I'm going to select this bottom piece, and I use my plus sign to grow my selection. And I'm going to unwrap this whole thing as one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, with this selected, I'm just going to go mapping, flat map again, and it's just going to map this one section here. That way I can just have it on the side. So I'm going to do the same thing for this other bit here. And hit grow. And for this one, I'm going to do a projection map with best align. And I'm going to show you a couple things that you might run into. So, number one, this guy here, flat mapped, lots of different seams and sections and stuff like that. Not quite what I want, but very clean. So if we throw a checker pattern on this guy here, all right, very clean checkers, but lots of seams. Now this guy here, I did a projection map with best align, and you see, he gave me this stupid ass shape right here. Now the reason it gave me this is whenever you do a projection map, it's kind of dumb, but it will just kind of do a square for you. So what you can do is you can try and fit and center, and you can do a view line. But really what you're going to get is it's always going to map this projection to a square. So even though this shape is a big old rectangle in shape, it's going to do a full square for you. What you can do is you can take this guy and use your scale tool to just kind of eyeball and smush this thing down here. So now what we have here is from the one angle, this looks really great. These parts are all nice and square, but these side bits are really smushy. And basically what we have here is the same idea of trying to smush them right into the square here, which again is not bad, but I'm getting a lot of stretching on this stuff and a lot of distortion, right? Because like these shapes are all crazy and it's just not ideal. So what can we do for this guy? Number one, we can use a tool called relax. If you go in here, there is a relax tool. And by default, it'll have a whole bunch of shit here. So what you can do is just hit apply. And what this is going to try and do, if you hit apply a bunch of times, or if you just hit start and stop relax, it'll kind of run through its thing. What it's going to try and do is it's going to try and make each of these faces resemble their counterparts here on the mesh as closely as possible while keeping all the stitching and the seams that you have. Now, it actually didn't do too bad of a job, and that's kind of a funny looking shape for what it is. And everything has a little bit of distortion to it, like these guys here. But overall, it did, a fairly decent kind of job. Now, that being said, it's probably not still something that I want. So what can I do? I might have to pick some seams, because if we look over here, this is where a lot of our trouble's happening, right? Where these edges are meeting, because they're really drastic angle changes, and it's just kind of madness. So I'm going to want to add some seams right here. And the way we do that in Max is, again, in the utility here on the side, the Unwrap modifier, we have a little section that's called Peel, and we'll be using Peel in a bit, but below it there's a little section called Seams. And here you can do edit seams, point-to-point seams, you can convert selections to seams, you can expand some stuff, but what I really like using is this point-to-point seam kind of thing. And I mean, we're only going to be doing one edge, so it's not really a big deal, but what you can do is you can click on an edge, and you'll get this little line here showing where you want to connect it to, and you're going to just connect those corners, and you'll see they'll turn blue. If you want to stop that, right, because it'll keep asking you to keep clicking more things, you just right click and it'll stop that there. And do the same thing over here, just do these corners. Now the reason why this little line sticks around is if you wanted to do a really large seam. So if I wanted to do a seam all the way from here to here, across there, I could just kind of keep going with it, but I'm not going to do that for this specific instance here. So I'm going to select this guy, I'm going to open up my relax tool again, I'm going to hit apply. And for some reason it is not allowing my seams to go through. It's really annoying. If your seams are not working, we're going to skip ahead a little bit typically these seams, I guess these are mainly just for the pelts or for the peel, which is kind of silly. I was hoping they would work for that too. But that's okay. What we can do is skip our little test we were going to do, and we're actually going to use this peel modifier. Now what peel is going to try and do is it's going to take the seams that you've drawn on, and it's going to do its best to try and kind of like banana peel or peel out your mesh, and do the same kind of thing that Relax is doing, but try and, again, keep everything as proportionate as it can and reduce as much stretching as it can, and do that for you. So this first one here is called Quick Peel that they've added possibly before 2017, but I just kind of noticed it now. So if you click that, it's just going to do a really quick peel for you. And if we go over here, we'll take a look. The top and the bottom here, it actually kept them fairly close. So typically what that means is that this was not a big problem area. And what we can do is we can stitch these guys together again. Oops, let me undo that a little bit. Do 8.5 on here. And you see here, it's really separated those parts out. If we take this guy and scale him up, it did a much nicer job than the Relax did of kind of keeping these curves kind of averaged and smoothed out. And you see here, we still have some distortion on some of these bigger meshes and faces, but a lot less distortion overall, right? It's looking a lot cleaner than what we had. The one crappy thing about Quick Peel is, if you notice, it packed all my stuff in there again, which is really annoying. So I'm going to undo all of this, hopefully. Maybe not, won't let me. Yeah. Okay, there we go. So if you notice, all my stuff is broken up here, and Quick Peel will throw it back in there. Really annoying. Not sure why the hell it does that, but it does, and it's super turbo annoying. But anyways, peel mode is quite nice, just to kind of get that in there. The last one that we have here is pelt mode, and if you hit pelt mode, it's going to do this, it's going to put a circle around your pelt, bring up this little pelt map over here, and you can do start pelt, and it will do this for you. It will just try and, as best as it can, just kind of flatten things out, and then you hit start Relax, and it will try and do, again, its best job of Quick Peel and Relax. What Quick Peel does is I believe it just does the pelt and a Relax right off the bat, and then packs it for you. The pelt modifier seems like it just kind of does the same thing. You just kind of have to do it step by step. Now let's take a look at what pelt does, in case you guys haven't used it before. It creates a circle around your mesh. So first thing it does is it flat maps your mesh, puts a circle around it, and basically just starts pulling out verts towards the circle until everything's kind of averaged out and looking good. The reason it's called pelt, it's got this little bear thing here. It's kind of what we used to do with pelts, right? You stretch them out on this big thing until they dry and they are as flat as they possibly can be. And that's kind of what we're doing here too. So start pelt will do this for you, and then Relax will kind of try and relax it into shape. And hopefully you'll get something good. Sometimes it'll throw it on a stupid angle for you, which you'll have to fix. But there you go. That is a quick little intro to Quick Peel and Pelt and their uses. That did not go exactly how I was hoping to because of the stupid seams for some reason. But hopefully that'll get you through some more complex shapes. Pelt is definitely not meant for everything. It's actually more used for organic objects rather than sci-fi tech kind of stuff. You might get some weird stretching and whatnot, but definitely useful. You know, definitely has its place for really strange instances like this. Anyway, so that's it for this little tutorial. Next thing we'll do is deal with some cables and wires and things like that. Thanks, guys.